The spaceship Concordia moved slowly through the dark space, toward the bright planet ahead. Ambassador Kim Soo-jin looked out the window at the alien world getting bigger and bigger. Her hands were steady but her heart was beating fast. This was humanity's last chance for peace? Captain Park Min-ho walked up beside her. He was holding a tablet with all the peace terms written on it. Are you sure we should do this? He asked quietly. After what they did to our people on the outer colonies, Soo-jin nodded. The Earth Council voted. Everyone agreed. We give them everything they want, we leave the star systems they claim, we pay them money for damages, and we promise never to fight them again. Even though we didn't start this war, Min-ho said with anger in his voice. Even though Soo-jin agreed. If it brings peace, it's worth it. The Zephyrian hegemony had been attacking human colonies for 3 years. They captured people and made them slaves. They destroyed entire cities just for fun. They called humans weak and stupid. But the human government still wanted to try peace. One more time. 2 hours later, Soo-jin and her team stood inside the huge crystal palace of the hegemony. The ceiling was so high she could barely see it. Sharp crystal spikes stuck out from the walls like teeth. The skulls of dead aliens hung everywhere like decorations. Overlord Wozzeck sat on a massive throne made of black stone. He was twice as tall as any human, with green and gold scales covering his body. His yellow eyes never blinked. Around him stood his war chiefs, all just as big and scary. Speak, little mammals, Wozzeck said. His voice was like rocks, grinding. Together, Soo-jin stepped forward. Her voice stayed calm, even though her legs felt weak. Great Overlord, we come asking for peace. We want to stop all fighting. We will leave the star systems you want. We will pay you for any damage. We will make a promise never to attack you. She explained all the terms. Humans would give up rich planets full of valuable metals. They would pay billions of credits for damage they never caused. They would let the hegemony keep human prisoners as slaves. The terms were so generous that some people back on Earth called them surrender. When she finished talking, the throne room became very quiet. Wozzeck stared at her with his horrible yellow eyes. Then, slowly, a sound started. It was low and rumbling at first. Then it got louder. Laughter. Wozzeck was laughing. Not happy laughter, cruel, mocking laughter that echoed off the crystal walls. Then his war chiefs started laughing too. Soon the entire throne room was filled with the sound of aliens laughing at the human peace offer. The laughter went on and on. Soo-jin stood perfectly still, waiting for it to stop. Captain Min-ho's hand moved toward his weapon, but she gave him a tiny signal to stay calm. Finally, Wozzeck stopped laughing and stood up. He was so tall that Soo-jin had to bend her neck back to look at his face. Did you hear that, my warriors? He called out. The pathetic humans are begging for mercy. More laughter filled the room. For 3 years we have crushed your colonies, Wozzeck continued. We have taken your children to be our slaves. We have used your people for medical experiments. We have harvested their organs for our scientists. And now you come here begging us to stop. He walked closer to Soo-jin. His breath smelled like rotting meat. Here is my answer to your generous offer, little mammal. Surrender every human world. Give us your entire species as slaves. In return, we will let 1 out of every 1,000 humans live to serve us. The war chiefs cheered and stamped their feet. Your military is a joke, Wozzeck continued. Your ships are old and weak. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. In 1 year, every human colony will be burning. Your people will learn their proper place, on their knees before their masters. He leaned down until his face was right next to hers. Do you know what the funniest part is? We could have destroyed you completely 3 years ago. We have been playing with you like a cat plays with a mouse before eating it. We wanted to see how long you would keep fighting before you came crawling to us for mercy. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Soo-jin looked into his yellow eyes and spoke in a voice so calm it surprised even her. I see. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Nothing at all, Wozzeck agreed, turning away like she was boring. Guards, take these creatures back to their ship and send a message to all human worlds. They have 30 days to surrender completely, or we will kill every human in the galaxy. As the guards pushed the human team toward the exit, Wozzeck called out one last time. Oh, and mammals, when you go back to your little Earth Council, tell them exactly what you heard today. Tell them how the mighty hegemony laughed at human mercy. Tell them to remember that sound when their worlds are burning and their children are screaming. The throne room exploded with laughter again as the humans disappeared. Back on their ship, racing through space toward Earth, Soo-jin wrote her report with steady hands. But Captain Min-ho saw something new in her eyes, a cold, deadly anger. Should I send the emergency signal to Earth Command? Min-ho asked. Yes, Soo-jin said quietly. Use priority code, Iron Fist. Tell them the gentle hand protocol is finished. Min-ho eyes went wide. Every human soldier knew that code meant no more holding back, no more fighting with restrictions, no more mercy. As their ship jumped to light speed, carrying the news that would change everything. Overlord Wozzeck was already planning. his attack, still chuckling about how weak and desperate the humans were. He had no idea what he had just awakened. The emergency meeting started just 6 hours after Ambassador Kim Soo-jin's message reached Earth. Admiral Lee Dong-woo stood at the big holographic table surrounded by humanity's top military leaders. The room was deep underground in the most secure building on Earth. General Choi Min-seok pressed some buttons and pictures appeared in the air above the table. They showed hegemony spaceships gathering near human colonies. "They're getting ready for a huge attack," he said. "Our spies think they want to hit 15 colonies at the same time. And they're telling everyone about it," added Colonel Yoon Hae-jin, who was in charge of getting secret information. "They want every human world to know what's coming. They're trying to scare us before they even start shooting." Admiral Lee looked at the pictures with calm eyes. The other officers waited quietly for him to speak. Finally, he said something that surprised them all. "For 3 years, we have been fighting this war like we were playing a game. We used weapons that wouldn't kill people when we could. We didn't attack their cities or hurt their families. We even sent them medicine and food for their prisoners." His voice became harder. "We did this because we thought showing kindness would prove that humans were good people." He pressed a button, and more pictures appeared. These showed the terrible things found in hegemony prison camps, humans locked in tiny cages, scientists doing painful experiments on people, huge graves full of bodies. They thought our kindness meant we were weak. They thought being nice meant we were scared. They thought being civilized meant we were giving up. Lee's voice cut through the room like a sharp knife. "Dr. Song Yoo-jin, tell everyone about the secret weapons project." A small woman with tired eyes stood up from her chair. "All the special weapons are ready, Admiral. The super bombs, the shield-breaking guns, the robot hunters, everything we kept hidden is ready to use. What about the planet-killer weapons? They're charged up and waiting for your permission codes." Quiet talking started around the table. Even the top military people didn't know about all the secret weapons humans had built. General Choi leaned forward. "Admiral, are we sure we want to do this? Once we show everyone what we can really do, there's no going back," Lee finished his sentence. "I know that, General, but they made their choice. They laughed at our kindness. They made fun of our peace offers. They promised to make our children into slaves and use our people for sick experiments." He stood up, and everyone in the room looked at him. "Starting right now, we stop playing nice. We stop holding back. We stop fighting with one hand tied behind our backs. We will show the galaxy what happens when humanity gets serious about war." Colonel Yoon started typing on her computer. "Admiral, we're getting reports that hegemony forces are attacking the outer colonies right now. New Busan, New Seoul, and New Daegu are all being hit. How many people are hurt?" "Lots, sir. They're not taking prisoners this time. They're trying to kill everyone." Admiral Lee's face became very hard. "Captain Park, Ji-hoon, get the First Fleet ready to leave immediately. Dr. Song, I want every secret weapon we have working within 1 hour." "Sir," Dr. Song said, "just the robot hunters alone could end this war in a few days. Are you sure you want to use everything?" Lee looked at the pictures showing the burning colonies, the people running away, the hegemony broadcasts making fun of human weakness. "Dr. Song, 3 years ago, we could have ended this war in 3 days. We chose not to because we wanted to show that powerful people could also be kind. They have now seen our kindness and thought it was funny." He walked to the center hologram showing the hegemony capital world. "Let them see our power now, and let every alien species in the galaxy understand that humanity's greatest strength was never our weapons. It was our choice not to use them." The room became completely quiet as everyone understood what he meant. "Captain Park, you will lead the attack. Your target is the hegemony base at Kepler 442. Show them what human weapons actually look like when we stop playing games." Captain Park, Ji-hoon, who had fought in many battles, stood up and saluted. "It will be an honor, Admiral." "One more thing," Lee said as the officers started to leave. "When Overlord Vazek tries to surrender, and he will ignore him completely, don't answer his calls. We offered them mercy once. They laughed at us. They will never get that chance again." As the meeting ended, Dr. Song Yoo-jin walked up to the Admiral privately. "Sir, the weapons we're about to use, they're designed to be unbeatable. Once the galaxy sees what we can do, they'll be afraid of us instead of thinking we're weak." Lee replied, "Maybe that's what we need. We tried to be everyone's friend. Now we'll be their protectors, whether they want us to be or not." In the distance, alarm bells started ringing as the First Fleet got ready to leave. For the first time in 3 years, humanity was going to war without limits, without mercy, and without holding back. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had been so careful to hide what they could really do. The mask was finally coming off. Captain Park Ji-hoon stood on the control deck of the huge warship Retribution, watching the enemy base at Kepler 440 to get bigger on his screen. Behind him, his crew worked quietly and efficiently. They were no longer the careful, gentle soldiers they had been for 3 years. Target found, said Lieutenant Kim Dobbin from her weapons station. Hegemony fleet has 12 big warships in their command station. They're trying to talk to us. Captain, put it on the main screen. Ji-hoon ordered. The big screen lit up, showing the ugly face of Hegemony War Chief Kravik. His scales were dark green, and his teeth were sharp like knives. Ah, the pathetic humans are back. Have you come to surrender? Properly this time. Your last peace offer was so funny, but fire, Captain Park said quietly. The transmission cut off as the first antimatter torpedo hit the Hegemony flagship. The enemy ship didn't just explode, it completely disappeared, turned into pure energy that lit up space like a new sun. What? Double quotes. Lieutenant Kim stared at her screen in shock. Even she hadn't expected such complete destruction. Keep firing. Hit all targets. The battle, if anyone could call it that, lasted less than 4 minutes. The antimatter torpedoes turned the entire Hegemony fleet into expanding clouds of hot gas. The quantum disruptor beams went right through their energy shields like they weren't even there, tearing apart the ship hulls at the tiniest level. But the most scary weapons were the Reapers. Commander Lim Jae-sung watched his battle screen as 12 small, dark shapes separated from the Retribution and flew fast toward the Hegemony command station. Each Reaper was no bigger than a fighter ship, but they moved with perfect precision and incredible speed. Reaper Squadron has broken into the station, reported the tactical officer. Internal sensors show, sir, they're systematically killing the entire crew, floor by floor, room by room. How long will it take? 17 minutes, sir. The Reapers they're not breaking any equipment, just hunting down anything alive. Captain Park nodded grimly. The Reapers had been built exactly for this job, to capture enemy bases without damage while killing all the defenders. Each robot hunter had advanced computer brains, weapons that could change shape, and enough thinking power to track and kill hundreds of targets at the same time, within 20 minutes. The entire Hegemony forward base had fallen. Not a single human had died. Not a single human ship had been damaged. The enemy fleet was completely destroyed, and their command station now belonged to humanity. Captain, Lieutenant Kim's voice was quiet. We're getting lots of emergency calls from Hegemony forces all over this area. They're asking for help immediately. Let them send help, Park replied. Dr. Song, are the manufacturing units working? Dr. Song Yujin's voice came through the communication system from the engineering section. Yes, Captain, we can make more Reapers as needed. We can build 12 new ones every hour. Start making them. Commander Lim, set course for the next Hegemony stronghold. We're not stopping. As the Retribution turned toward its next target, the same thing was happening all across Hegemony space. The human Second Fleet, led by Admiral Kang Suho, was systematically destroying Hegemony mining operations. The Third Fleet under Admiral Shin Yun-ji was freeing human slave camps so fast that many prisoners were rescued before they even knew a battle was happening. On the Hegemony capital world, Overlord Vase watched the battle screens with growing terror. In less than 48 hours, humanity had taken back every lost colony and pushed deep into Hegemony territory. How is this possible? He demanded of his remaining war chiefs. Their weapons. We've never seen technology like this before. War Chief Thrak, badly shaken, reported the losses. Great Overlord, we've lost 47 fleets, 23 command stations, and 16 major bases. Our forces are running away on all fronts. Running away. Order them to stand and fight. Sir, they can't fight these weapons. The human superbombs destroy entire fleets instantly. Their shield-breaking beams ignore our defenses completely. And their hunter robots, double quotes, Thrak's voice broke. Sir, we found video recordings from the Nexus station attack. The human robots killed 30,000 of our soldiers in 23 minutes without losing a single one. Wazek's golden scales had turned pale with fear. Open a communication channel to the human fleet. We will negotiate. Sir, we've been trying. They're not answering any of our calls. What do you mean, they're not answering? I mean, exactly that, Overlord. Every time we try to contact them, they ignore us. They're not accepting surrender. They're not accepting negotiation. They're just, moving forward and destroying everything. For the first time in his life, Overlord Vazek felt real fear. The humans he had mocked, the pathetic mammals he had laughed at, had weapons that made the Hegemony's greatest fleets look like children's toys, and they were no longer interested in talking. Across space, human fleets moved like unstoppable forces of nature. Every Hegemony base they found was captured or destroyed within hours. Every enemy fleet they met was wiped out completely. The Reapers hunted through enemy stations like deadly ghosts, leaving no survivors but taking no prisoners. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity revealed what they had been hiding for 3 years. The gentle, peaceful species that always tried to negotiate was gone. In its place was something far more terrible, a military force that had been holding back its true power and was now unleashing it without mercy. The mask had fallen away, and underneath was something the galaxy had never seen before. Commander, Lim Jae-sung led his rescue team through the smoking ruins of prison camp. Theta 7, what they found made even hardened soldiers feel sick. Humans were chained in cages so small they couldn't stand up. There were laboratories where alien scientists had cut people open while they were still alive. There were breeding rooms where they had tried to make human babies to sell as slaves. Medical teams 2 sections, 7 through 12. He called into his radio. We need immediate help for about 3,000 prisoners. Dr. Han Ji-woo, the mission's chief doctor, walked up to him with a terrible look on her face. Commander, you need to see laboratory building C. They walked through hallways lined with tiny cells. The smell was so bad that soldiers were throwing up. In the laboratory building, they found detailed records of experiments changing human genes, torturing people's minds, testing how much pain humans could feel before they died. They were trying to create better slave breeds, Dr. Han reported, her voice shaking with anger. The files show they've been doing this for 2 years. Commander Lim's hands made tight fists. Through his earpiece, he could hear similar reports from other rescue teams on dozens of worlds. The hegemony's crimes were far worse than anyone had known. Commander, his radio officer called out. Priority message from Admiral Lee. The message was short but clear. All limits removed. Planet killer weapons authorized. Target, Nexer Prime, Hegemony War College. Commander Lim understood immediately. Nexer Prime was where the hegemony trained its military leaders, where they planned their wars of conquest and slavery. It was also a world with millions of regular people living on it. The old humanity would have found another way, would have tried to save the innocent people, but the old humanity had offered mercy and been laughed at. 3 hours later, the human warship Judgment took position in orbit around Nexer Prime. Captain No Tae-kyung stood on the bridge, holding the authorization codes for humanity's most devastating weapon. Sir, his weapons officer reported. We're getting hundreds of calls from the planet's surface, regular people trying to escape. Any military communications? Yes, sir. The War College is asking for immediate surrender talks. Captain No thought about this. Below them, the planet had not just the military academy, but also schools, hospitals, families. Before the war, he would have found another way, but he had seen the videos from the slave camps. He had read the experiment records. He had watched recordings of hegemony forces laughing as they killed human prisoners. Target the planet's main earthquake fault line. He ordered single planet killer torpedo. The torpedo was no bigger than a regular missile, but it contained technology that could break apart planet cores. As it went deep into the planet's crust and reached the hot center, it began to work, not destroying the planet completely, but making it impossible to live on. Within hours, massive earthquakes began changing the planet's surface. Volcanoes started erupting everywhere. The air filled with ash and deadly gases. Nexer Prime would still exist, but it would never again support life. The message was clear. Humanity now had weapons that could end entire worlds. Across space, news of Nexer Prime's fate spread like wildfire. Overlord Wazek, watching from his capital world, finally understood how badly he had messed up. Open all channels, he commanded. All frequencies, broadcast on every communication system, we have. His image appeared on screens throughout the galaxy as he made his desperate plea to the leaders of humanity. I am Overlord Wazek of the Hegemony. I formally ask for immediate stop of all fighting. We surrender completely. We will return all prisoners, pay any money you demand, and accept any terms you choose. The response came not from any human leader, but from a simple recording, Wazek's own words from 3 months earlier, played back on the same communication channels. Your military is a joke. Your ships are old and weak. Your weapons are toys. Here is our offer, mammal, surrender every human world completely. The recording was followed by video of hegemony forces laughing at human mercy. Then by pictures of the slave camps, the experiment facilities, the mass graves filled with human bodies. Finally, a new voice, Admiral Lee Dongwoo, speaking with cold precision. You were offered mercy once. You chose to laugh. The time for mercy has ended. The transmission stopped. Across the galaxy, other alien species watched in shocked silence as humanity continued its relentless advance. No longer the gentle, careful force they had known, but something far more terrible. On world after world, hegemony forces tried to surrender, only to find that humans weren't accepting surrenders anymore. The robot reapers moved through enemy bases like death itself, killing everything that moved but leaving the buildings intact for later use. Other alien governments watched the destruction with growing fear. The Altarian Republic called emergency meetings. The Centauri Trade Federation began preparing their own surrender terms, just in case. The Vegan Alliance started moving their fleets away from human space. Everyone realized the same terrifying truth: humanity had been holding back their real power for 3 years. The weapons they were using now made every other military in the galaxy look like children playing with sticks, and humanity was no longer interested in showing mercy to anyone who had chosen to be their enemy. The galaxy's balance of power had changed forever. The species that had once begged for peace was now the most feared military force anyone had ever seen. 6 months after the last hegemony fleet gave up, Overlord Wazek stood in chains before the human court on New Geneva. The courtroom was packed with people who had survived the slave camps, families whose loved ones had been murdered, and representatives from dozens of alien species who had suffered under hegemony rule. Chief Prosecutor Kim Soo-jin, the same woman who had once offered peace, stood before the judges. She was no longer the gentle diplomat, but something harder, changed by humanity's awakening to its own power. The prisoner stands accused of crimes against all living beings. She began, her voice carrying across the silent courtroom. Systematic slavery, medical experiments on prisoners, genetic tampering, and the attempted genocide of the human species. The evidence was overwhelming. Video testimonies from survivors, captured hegemony records, physical proof from dozens of worlds. For 3 days, the court heard testimony that shocked even battle-hardened soldiers. When it was time for his statement, Wazek's arrogance had completely disappeared. The being who had once laughed at human mercy now begged for it. Honored judges, he said, his voice breaking, I admit my crimes. I beg for the mercy that I once rejected. I was wrong. Humanity showed wisdom in offering peace, and I was too proud, too stupid to accept it. Judge Park Min-ho, the former captain who had witnessed the failed peace talks, looked down at the broken overlord with cold eyes. You speak of mercy now. You beg for the very thing you mocked. Tell me, Overlord Wazek, what mercy did you show to the children in your breeding facilities? What mercy did you show to the humans in your experiment laboratories? Wazek had no answer. The court's judgment was swift. Exile to the empty world of Kepler 438b, where he would spend his remaining years with only the memories of his choices for company. Not death, that would have been too kind, but a lifetime to think about what his laughter had cost his people. But the trial was only the beginning. In the months that followed, humanity rebuilt the galaxy's order with the same efficiency they had shown in war. Admiral Lee Dongwu spoke to the Galactic Council from the platform where humanity had once been dismissed as a weak species. For hundreds of years, the galaxy has worked under a simple rule: the strong eat the weak, the powerful prey on the helpless, and the helpless either submit or die. We offered a different way: cooperation, mutual respect, peaceful living together. He pointed to the empty seats where hegemony representatives had once sat. That alternative was rejected with laughter. So now you see what happens when humanity stops offering choices and starts making rules. The assembled representatives, Altarians, Centaurians, Vegan Alliance members, dozens of other species listened in complete silence. Humanity hereby establishes a new system for this galaxy. We will serve as protectors for any species that wants peace. We will provide aid, technology, and defense to those who choose cooperation over conquest. He paused, letting his next words carry the weight of absolute certainty. And we will show no mercy to those who choose the path of slavery, genocide, or conquest. Ask the hegemony how that choice worked out for them. Dr. Song Yujin, now Director of Galactic Defense Technology, demonstrated some of humanity's normal weapons for the assembled diplomats: superbombs, shield-breaking cannons, self-copying hunter robots. She did not mention the planet killers, the world breakers, the weapons that could sterilize entire star systems. These technologies will be shared freely with our allies. She announced they will never be sold, traded, or given to aggressive powers. Any attempt to steal or copy them will be met with immediate response. The message was clear. Humanity was now the galaxy's strongest military power, and they intended to use that power responsibly, but absolutely. In the months that followed, dozens of former hegemony worlds asked for human protection. The Altarian Republic, facing pressure from warlike neighbors, signed a mutual defense treaty. The Centauri Trade Federation asked for human escorts for their merchant ships. Captain Park Ji-hyun, now commanding the patrol fleet that covered 3 sectors, received daily requests for human protection. His ships moved through space lanes that had been plagued by pirates for centuries, bringing a peace enforced by the knowledge of what humanity could do to those who broke it. Sir, Lieutenant Kim Dobbin reported from her station. We're getting a distress call from the vegan supply convoy. They're under attack by raiders in the Proxima system. How long to get there? 14 minutes at maximum speed. Take us there. And send out a Reaper squadron. Let's remind these raiders why piracy has become such a bad business choice. The fight lasted less than 3 minutes. The raiders' leader, a Zephyrian exile named Korth, found himself face to face with Captain Park via hologram as his ship was boarded by Reapers. Please, Korth begged, we surrender. We'll return the cargo, pay damages, anything you ask. Park's expression was stone. You had a choice. You could have asked for sanctuary on any of 24 human-protected worlds. You could have applied for honest work with the Trade Federation. Instead, you chose to prey on the weak. The Reapers completed their work with mechanical efficiency. The raider fleet was disabled, their crews captured, their weapons taken. Within the week, they would be tried and sentenced to work on the labor worlds, not as slaves, but as workers earning their way back into galactic society. The galaxy was changing. For the first time in recorded history, traders could move freely between systems without fear, colonies could develop without worrying about raiders or slaves. Children could grow up without wondering if they would be taken in the night. Humanity had not wanted this responsibility. They had offered to share the burden of keeping peace. But when that offer was met with laughter, they had taken the job. Anyway, now, the galaxy had peace, whether it wanted humanity's help or not.